And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game 1.
Nobody expected this. On the very night A'ja Wilson was crowned MVP, the Indiana Fever walked into Las Vegas with half their roster missing and flipped the script on the defending champions. 6 players sidelined, analysts calling it hopeless, and oddsmakers treating the Fever like a punchline. Yet somehow, this underdog squad shocked the basketball world. And what Caitlin Clark said afterward only added fuel to the fire. But to understand how big this upset really was, you have to see just how badly the Fever were counted out from the start.
Particular matchup, Aces Fever game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together because my spidey sense are telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
There's no way. Okay, I see.
From the moment the matchup was set, it was framed as a massacre waiting to happen. ESPN panels labeled it predictable. Sportsbooks posted odds so lopsided that people were betting on margins, not winners. Headlines didn't even pretend to show respect. Survival was the best Indiana could hope for. And then came the injury list. Caitlin Clark sidelined, Sophie Cunningham out, Sydney Coulson, Chloe Bibby, Ari McDonald, DeWanna Bonner gone. 6 names, a roster that looked like it was taped together. To most, this wasn't a playoff team. It was a skeleton crew that should have been on vacation. But sports don't always follow scripts. And sometimes the script rips apart on the biggest stage possible.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade. And yet, here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Coulson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA playoff.
Imagine the scene, Vegas crowd buzzing, championship banners hanging high, and A'ja Wilson standing at center court, MVP trophy shining in her hands. It was supposed to be a celebration, a coronation. Wilson's moment symbolized dominance, the Aces dynasty, and Indiana fading quietly into the background. But by the time the buzzer sounded, that script had been shredded. What started as Wilson's night ended with the Fever stealing not only the game, but the spotlight. And the thief who snatched it most boldly? A player who turned a semifinal debut into her own masterpiece. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just play well. She made history. 34 points, 12 of 23 from the field, 4 of 6 from deep. A perfect 6 for 6 at the line. She scored every way possible. Pull-ups, deep threes, driving layups. Her performance shattered records, making her the first Fever player in over a decade to drop 30-plus in a playoff game and the most ever in a first semifinal appearance in WNBA history. Fans compared her to legends, but Mitchell didn't just match them. She passed them. And when the dust settled, Caitlin Clark, watching from the sidelines, summed it up in 2 words. Kelsey, unreal. That reaction echoed across social media, solidifying Mitchell's place as more than an afterthought. She was the star of the night, but while Mitchell's explosion grabbed headlines, the Fever's secret weapon was something else entirely: defense. Every underdog needs a strategy, and Indiana's was crystal clear: make the Aces uncomfortable. At the center of it was rookie Aaliyah Boston, tasked with the impossible: slow down A'ja Wilson, the newly crowned MVP. Boston didn't erase her, but she disrupted her rhythm. Wilson still scored 16, but every shot was a grind, every possession a war. Jackie Young, usually automatic, found herself smothered by Lexi Hull, who not only shut her down but drilled clutch threes to silence the Vegas crowd. And in a twist nobody predicted, Indiana owned the paint, outscoring the Aces inside 50-38. Even Becky Hammon admitted afterward they had no answer. The Fever needed every role player to deliver, and deliver they did. Odyssey Sims came off the bench with fire, attacking the rim relentlessly, forcing the Aces to foul and shifting the pace of the game. Natasha Howard quietly stacked up another double-double, her strength controlling the glass. And Brianna Turner may not have filled the stat sheet, but her length turned the paint into a nightmare for Las Vegas. Together, they embodied Coach Stephanie White's mantra, "We over me." This wasn't about stars. It was about a squad of overlooked players deciding they'd write their own story. And that story wasn't just about a single game. It was about what this moment meant for a franchise that hadn't tasted playoff glory in years.
First semifinal appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing. That's all you can do.
When the final score flashed, Fever 89, Aces 73, it wasn't just a number. It was a symbol. Indiana hadn't won a semifinal game in nearly a decade. They weren't supposed to even be there, let alone dominate. And they did it by hijacking the MVP's spotlight, carving their names into history books, and sending a message to every doubter. We're here, and we're not backing down. Analysts who laughed before tip-off were suddenly scrambling for explanations. But the Fever didn't care. For them, this was more than an upset. It was validation. But the playoffs don't reward single moments. The real question became, could Indiana back it up in Game 2? Here's the harsh truth. History shows 28% of teams who lose Game 1 in a best-of-5 still come back to win the series. The Aces knew that, Becky Hammon knew that, and A'ja Wilson, burning from frustration, was never going to let herself look human 2 games in a row. Vegas wasn't about to roll over. They were preparing to come out swinging in Game 2, adjusting, trapping, doubling, and testing Indiana's resolve. For the Fever, this was the real test. Not stealing one game as underdogs, but proving they could handle being the team in control. Could Mitchell find her rhythm again under pressure? Could Boston hold Wilson down a second time, or would the defending champs reclaim their crown? And that's what makes the story so much bigger than a single upset. The Indiana Fever didn't just shock the defending champs, they redefined themselves. On a night scripted for someone else, they took center stage. Mitchell's career night, Boston's grit, Hull's defense, Sims's energy, every piece clicked. What was supposed to be survival turned into domination. And now the question isn't whether they belong. It's whether this upset marks the birth of something bigger. Because if the Fever can keep this fire alive, what started as a miracle could grow into a dynasty,